Fight fans, and welcome back to What Culture Combat. I am, of course, Gareth, and why are you here right now? Why am I here right now? Why am I so buzzed on caffeine and energy drinks and a lot of coffee? Well, I've just been watching UFC 248, and if you've kind of heard anything about the card at this point, by the time you're watching this, you'll know that it was a pretty good card, really, across the board. It really delivered on that main card, especially. Probably apart from the main event, which is a bit meh, but we'll get there. But yeah, without further ado, I am Gareth, and it's time to up some downs on UFC 248. Okay, quick sidebar now. We're not going to spend too much time on the preliminary card because we'd be here all year. But what we're going to do, we're going to talk about Sean O'Malley. Sugar Sean O'Malley, it was his return fight. He's not fought in quite some time, obviously, with his numerous suspensions that have now been settled, everything else. He returned with a bang with a first-round knockout of Jose Quinones. It was an impressive performance from O'Malley. He kind of sat back like he always does, kind of lays all these traps. Quinones went in for a wicked right, but then he got caught with a right from O'Malley, followed by a right head kick, and he just went down with like a short uppercut and completely obliterated him. It's great to see O'Malley back in form, really, back on kind of not on top of the bantamweight division, but really climbing up that ranking system now, and hopefully he's got big things in store for him going forward. So that's going to get a quick up. Sugar Sean O'Malley, well done. Okay, so now we're going to get into the main card, and my God, was this something. We kicked off with Alex Oliveira taking on Max Griffin in a welterweight clash. A lot of people went into this fight thinking this is going to be something special. It's going to be a blockbuster collision of two guys who love just kind of throwing their heads down and just charging on into each other and throwing bombs. We kind of got a bit of that. We got a bit of a stand-up battle, but I think this was also a brilliant all-round battle, really, because you had a lot of... I was very surprised by Max Griffin. He really impressed me with his grappling kind of prowess. He took Oliveira down. Oliveira, I said going into this fight, was the more impressive grappler. He has been over his career. But Griffin did really well at getting him down on the floor. But the only issue was when he got him down there, he didn't really do much. And in the end, Oliveira completely outstruck him, I believe, across the board. He used his reach really well. Griffin never got within a distance where he was going to seriously cause some harm to Oliveira. He kind of dictated the pace, just as you kind of expect from such a kind of high-class striker like Oliveira. And in the end, he won by unanimous decision. I think it was the correct decision. It was kind of my prediction going in, although I did say that he was going to knock out Griffin. But judging on this fight, these two had rock-hard chins. It just probably wasn't going to happen in the end. But it was, it was an impressive performance from the Cowboy. And I'm not sure what this sets up next for him going forward. That welterweight division is stacked, but a win's a win. It's a good thing to see, and I really enjoyed the fight, so up. And moving swiftly on to our next welterweight clash, which was Neil Magny taking on Li Jingliang. I completely got this one wrong, I've got to admit it. So coming into this, I felt like Li Jingliang had all this momentum. He was kind of coming off 3 wins in a row. He was completely destroying everybody he was put in the octagon with. But then he came up against a guy who'd been out of the octagon for a while as well. So in my mind, I was just thinking, yeah, octagon rust, everything else, that's going to play a massive part. It didn't. Neil Magny looked incredible. His cardio was off the charts. He was just dancing around. He looked as fresh in the 3rd round as what he did in the 1st round. How is that humanly possible? There were a few moments when Jingliang managed to get in quite close and kind of close that space down and let loose a little bit, and kind of when he gets unhinged and starts getting a bit chaotic with his strikes, that's when Jingliang really kind of presses his point and gets into a spot where he could win a fight. But he wasn't allowed to do that a lot because Magny was, again, he was kind of boxing from a great range. He was picking his kicks really well. And he just looked a class above Jingliang, which was a bit of a shock to me because, yeah, like I said, I felt like he had all the momentum coming into this fight. And Magny also dominated with his kind of grappling exchanges as well. Every time Jingliang got in close and looked like he was trying to take him down for a double leg or a single leg, Magny just stood proud and he was the strongest guy in the octagon. He just did not want to move, didn't waver, looked confident throughout. He looked, like I've said before, he looked a class above Jingliang, and by the end, it was quite clear that he'd won by unanimous decision. This win, I believe, takes him up to 15 wins in the welterweight division, which is only a couple off GSP's record of 19. I don't know what's next for him. He had a kind of weird call-out where he called out and said Robert Whittaker was a great dad. So was he calling him out for being a great dad? Not too sure. But yeah, it was a great moment to see Magny come back. Joe Rogan was saying that the betting odds were ridiculous, that he shouldn't have been the underdog coming in, and this kind of proves it. Joe Rogan, it's almost like you know what you're talking about. So you're going to get an up? Well, Magny's going to get an up. Coming up next, we've got our lightweight clash between Beneil Dariush and Drakkar Klose. And this one was... if a fight later on in the night didn't happen, this would have been fight of the night without a shadow of a doubt, because it just had drama. And what do we love from our MMA, Octagon, UFC world? We love a bit of drama. Early on, Klose tried to get in close and really let rip with a few bombs, trying to kind of outbox and kind of outstrike Dariush. His strengths probably lie more in his grappling game, even though he can strike, which he will show later on. Kind of midway through that first round, Dariush got the back of Klose and just kind of locked in a choke, and I was just thinking, yep, this could be it, this could be the end. But Klose managed to stay in there, and it was just, that was one of the most compelling things of this fight. Obviously, the finish is incredible, but the way that Klose stayed in there when he was getting kind of strangled, it was a strangle, not a neck crank as it was being called. His chin was being kind of driven into his throat. It was looking as though Klose was done. I mean, anybody else, you could hear his breathing. He was panting, he was heavily panting. But yeah, he stuck in there right until the end of that round. And I was thinking, right, but that might give him an extra kind of kick in the butt now. And he might be thinking, right, okay, I'm going to go into this next round and survive that choke. That's not happening again. Something else happened. So yeah, they kicked things off in the second round. And like I said, Klose really got in close again and piled that pressure on and looked like the more impressive fighter in this round. And it was looking like he was starting to really beat down on Dariush and really take a few shots at his legs, because Dariush really looked quite tired, looked not out on his feet, but he looked like that kind of pressure that he was putting on Klose in that clinch towards the end of the first round was taking a bit of a toll on his legs. But yeah, he started to kind of chop at him, and then just as he got in a bit too close, Dariush started to strike back and strike back. And then he eventually knocked him out. Literally that quickly, everything just flipped on a dime. Like, you had Klose kind of just pounding away, taking out some incredible shots, and then Dariush just went, okay, kill switch on, and he just went forward and completely pounded him and just kept catching him and catching him. You could see Klose, he was swinging for the fences. He was thinking, how has this happened so quickly? I was doing so well. And then just to put the exclamation point on proceedings, I believe it was a left hand, he caught him, and then I think the recap kind of replay showed that Klose's gum shield was like hanging out of his mouth as he went down. And he just dropped like a sack of spuds. It was, the notes I had on my paper, I was literally, there were holes in my paper at this point. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? This is incredible, I love it. That's probably gonna get a nice kind of bonus. He probably would have got the fight in the night bonus if it wasn't for the next fight, but we'll get there. I believe that gets a nice big up. So far, it's looking like a bit of a clean sweep. It was a hell of a finish, and again, it was a perfect advert of just how quickly things can change inside of the octagon, and it just made me love the sport even more. I was getting so giddy. It was like 4 in the morning. I was so excited. I was shouting. People were telling me to shut up. I was like, no, you shut up. It is incredible. Okay, now, breathe. Okay, I need to compose myself for this next fight, because this may be the greatest fight I've seen live, kind of on a UFC card, pay-per-view, anything. I know it's a huge, huge statement, but believe me, it deserves it. Zhang Wei Li was taking on Joanna Jędrzejczyk for the strawweight title, and people had a lot of high, big, huge expectations coming into this fight, and my God, did these ladies deliver. I mean, if I could have an entire video just to break down this fight round for round, I could probably be here for about an hour, but as kind of an overall kind of overview of this fight, it was just head-to-head even. It was every single round I was like marking it down thinking, okay, yeah, Wei Li's done incredibly well in this fight. She's looking like she's dominating this round. Yeah, excellent, excellent. And then Joanna would just literally pick her off, start completely flipping everything on its head. And it was every time Wei Li started to land a few power shots and you were thinking, okay, yeah, it's game over, Joanna, thanks for coming. Joanna would just kind of compose herself, find a distance again, and start chopping away. And Joanna, I know a lot of people have been saying going into this fight that Joanna was the kind of tactician. She was going to have to kind of chop down and isolate parts of Wei Li's game. But Joanna landed some bombs, like some serious bombs in this fight. But we cannot go through this fight without mentioning what the heck happened to Joanna's face, because she got hit by Wei Li at one point, and this is understandable because Wei Li's probably got one of the biggest right hands in all of, well, UFC. Obviously, I know she's quite kind of light compared to the people who like heavyweights and things like that, but in a weight division, like in context, my God, that hand. Joanna's head literally did this. She looked like Frankenstein. It was insane. I've never seen anything quite like that before. If you look at the before and after pictures of Joanna after this fight, it's just, this is a dangerous sport. Do not try this at home unless you're training to be a UFC fighter, and even then, that's probably going to put you off. But it was an excellent fight. It was just 5 rounds of unadulterated chaos, carnage. It wasn't just smash mouth people trying to just punch each other as hard as they can and hoping that somebody gets knocked out. There were so many tactical battles going on. At different points in the fight, both fighters were kind of losing the gas tanks a little bit, and then that was when the dominance started happening from the other ends. And it was just back and forth. And Wei Li, I love the fact that Wei Li got into those 4th and 5th rounds and proved everybody wrong. Everyone was saying, oh, she won't be able to handle it in the championship round. She's never done it before. She handled it. She got better. In that 5th round, she just got a second win, and she looked incredible. I mean, it was so tight to call. It went to a split decision in the end, and Wei Li won. She kind of retained the title. But hats off to Joanna, because that was my jaw was just dropping at any point. Every time there was a flurry, every time one of the women got a shot away, the other one just came back and got something twice as hard. It was like, okay, they're going to win. No. And it was like watching tennis, but with this. It was, I really need to compose myself. But this is just probably one of the greatest fights you are going to watch, probably this year at least. So if you've not seen it already, check it out. But for now, it's getting it up. And it's not just getting it up, it's getting the fight of the night. It's getting the up of the night. Boom. But now, from those incredible heights, we're going to have to kind of hit some lows right now, because the main event happened, and I had a bad feeling coming into this, and I'll explain why. After you've had two fights that were this kind of insane and brilliant and everything that you love and want in any UFC fight, it was always going to be really tough to follow, even if your name is Israel Adesanya and you're going up against Yoel Romero. And sorry guys, but that proved to be the case. What was this? At the start of the fight, I kind of giggled to myself because Yoel obviously came out and just went, all right, you're the person who feints and tricks people into kind of making mistakes. I'm going to do a little bit of that myself. And he just kind of stood there with his hands forward and started doing some weird stuff and like shuffling. And somebody on Twitter likened it to when you're playing, like, if you're going to play the UFC game, you've never played it before and you're like toggling with the controls, trying to figure everything out. It was kind of like that. It was two people just feinting and like kind of looking like they're having a weird dance off. I don't think a punch was thrown for landed for like the first 2.5 minutes, I think I counted, this is a middleweight title fight in the main event. That's just not good enough. And I understand it's a tactical battle. There's so much on the line. This is a title fight. This could change your life. But how are you going to change your life from doing nothing? It kind of perplexed me. But again, that was their strategies. Who am I to tell somebody like Israel Adesanya or Yoel Romero what to do in a title fight? They just punched me in the face, I think. But yeah, as things kind of went on, it was looking like Yoel Romero won the first round by throwing, 3 punches, which was weird. But yeah, as things went on, Izzy kind of grew into the fight, and he does he did what he always does. He kind of downloaded all the information that was going on in front of him from Yoel, started picking his moments, but he really worked on the leading leg of Yoel. By the end of the fight, every kick that he threw to that leading leg, it looked like he was going to pretty much snap his leg. His leg was all kind of swollen up. His leg looked like Joanna's forehead, which was quite a visual. And then something really weird happened about midway through the fight. I can't remember which round it was. I think it was the second or the third round. But the ref kind of told the fighters, okay, you need to start engaging more because this is a title fight, don't forget. How would they forget? They're in the fight. They've trained for weeks and months on end. I don't think these two professional world-class fighters need reminding, oh, you need to start throwing some punches or you're not going to win the fight. It was all a bit weird, and like throughout the rest of the fight from there on out, you could hear the ref kind of going, "Oh, don't forget to engage, guys. Come on, you need to show the judges something." It was a bit like they know that. Like they're professionals. They're the ones who do this. But yeah, by the end of it, it was just a stale fight, and it seemed like both fighters weren't willing to kind of engage and commit themselves because they knew the other one could completely dispatch them at any point. Which is, yeah, it's a fair point, and it could have happened. But I'm especially disappointed in Yoel because this is probably going to be his last ever title fight, surely. It has to be. The guy's like 42. You've got to go for it. You've got to put it all out there. Throw a flying knee, just charge into him, finally use your wrestling ability that you never want to use even though you're a silver medalist. But no, he didn't want to. And in the end, he kind of, both of them squared up to each other at the end of the fight after they did like a weird flurry, and Israel did a weird kind of front flip kick, cartwheel thing, which looked pretty cool, but didn't land. But yeah, they kind of squared up and got as probably the most aggressive that they've been all fight, which was, the fans were right to boo, I think, to a certain extent, because even though it was a tactical kind of stalemate, and it was a really, it was two forces that just didn't want to engage because of the fear of what could happen if they could engage. It was like, oh, what's good? We hold great power and we could destroy each other at any moment, but we're not going to because that would be risky. So yeah, it was a weird fight, and I felt really kind of underwhelmed coming out of it. Izzy won by unanimous decision. He's got a Yoel Romero scalp on his record, which not many people have that. It's kind of cool. But yeah, it was really weird, and they were still kind of giving each other a bit of that after it, and it was a bit like, if you're that annoyed with each other and you're that kind of pissed at each other, then settle it in the octagon. You just had 25 minutes of time to beat the crap out of each other, and you didn't do it. So yeah, I didn't enjoy that. And then Paulo Costa was kind of giving it all that from outside. It got really awkward when Izzy kind of walked over to the side of the cage and went, oh, there's Paulo Costa, and he wasn't there. So it was a bit of a lackluster end to the night, and it's probably going to get it down. Yeah, it is going to get it down. It's the only down of the night. We were doing so well. We could have had a clean sweep, Izzy. And I'm not just blaming Izzy, Yoel as well. So Izzy and Yoel, you've ruined this clean sweep. And those are my ups and downs for UFC 248. And overall, was a pretty good night. I mean, we got more ups than that single main event down, which is quite a big down because it's a main event down, but the rest of this is looking pretty nice. Going forward, I'm really excited because the next card is Tony versus Khabib, and if you watched the press conference the other day, it's looking incredible, and my mouth is watering over that fight because it's going to be insane. But yeah, great night. Probably one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life in Wei Li versus Jędrzejczyk. So fingers crossed we get more of the same in April for this UFC 249 event. I have been Gareth from What Culture Combat. These have been the ups and downs of UFC 248. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Click on that bell, ring the bell for all things What Culture Combat. I will see you very soon, and enjoy yourself.